Two back-to-back Premier League game weeks means it's two episodes of the Stakehouse in the space of a few days for you lucky lot. I'm Conall McCabe. I'm joined once again by data guru Lukas Zirkzee for my sins. Lucas, you had a winner last week, didn't you, for a change?
Yeah, winner and a half win and a loss. So yeah, overall small profit on a weekend, but I'll take that. How about you?
Yeah, the less said, the better. It wasn't my weekend, unfortunately. Things didn't go
How
quite
many
as planned.
points you finished then?
So I ended up, obviously, we had Trent Alexander-Arnold, who didn't start because he was injured, so I pulled that bet out. But apart from that, I was minus 4 points for the game week, which is probably my worst return all season. So obviously, that's an isolated incident, and we're going to get back on the
Yeah.
profit train.
I did
this
say
week.
last week that we're going to start the Google sheet, right? Tracking the bets. So I
Lovely
need to
that
set that up and we'll start that.
Lovely that we start that just as I come in with a game week like that. Excellent news. Fantastic. Trust you to pick your moment to do that. Anyway, without time to waste, let's launch in and predict some winners for game week 31. Quite a few key talking points to get through as well.
Yep.
Busy episode coming up. We're going to start at the top with the early Saturday kickoff, the coupon buster. It's Everton versus Arsenal. What are you thinking?
I think this could be a nap for me, I really like Everton. I think the price we're getting is a bit too high. I got on this bet early in the week. By earlier in the week, I mean straight after the Arsenal game, really. Well, in fact, I got on it during the Arsenal game when there were some injuries to the defenders. Gabriel got injured, so I was like, okay, I need to jump on that because he's such a key player for them. That nearly stung me because Tarkowski should have got sent off, and he got sent off. He would have been missing the game. But anyway, got a bit of luck on my side. But anyway, so the bet I think, is Everton plus 3/4. So I got 1.95, but I think it's gone down to 1.75 now, 1.7. But
Is it still value at that price?
yeah, and what I'd say is Everton's still value, but I'd go plus a half now. So at 1.9. So basically, just need Everton to draw. A lot of reasons for that. First of all, Gabriel and Timber are out, so who's going to play at the back? They've got a lot of injuries. Calafiori's out, so he's going to have a Kiwior, and also who's going to play right back? Are they going to play Partey? How many minutes is Odegaard Rice going to get? They've got a big game on Tuesday, right? The Premier League is done for them, right? They're guaranteed top four. They're not going to win the league. Surely they're going to be managing minutes for the big game on Tuesday. So I feel like Everton has played quite well at home, I think. They've got some good results against decent teams. Some okay results against worse teams. I think they play probably better against better teams, I think, in a way.
Yep.
The Liverpool game, I think, they had a few good chances. I think Beto hit the post. He had another good chance. I really like Everton here. Based for those reasons, and especially the timing, right? Like I said, Arsenal are focusing on the Champions League on Tuesday. They're not going to risk anyone. Saka's back, but look, he's not going to start.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to talk about Beto. I really like him. I thought he caused all manner of problems.
He reminds me of Mbuemo a few seasons ago when he just kept hitting the post. He gets he's a good player, but
But he was a handful.
He's learned to finish a bit.
He was a handful against Liverpool.
Yeah,
he got away twice. He had he was so unlucky, by the way. He had an unbelievable finish that was ruled marginally offside. And then the other chance, he hit the post, but I still thought the effort wasn't terrible.
No,
it wasn't a player lacking in confidence. So against this Arsenal side, I think what's really crucial for him to do is probably going to be Jakub Kiwior at centre half instead of Gabriel. I think it's really important for Beto that he pulls on to Kiwior and plays against him. I think Kiwior is weak, and I think that Beto can effectively have his way with him. So there's a definite opportunity, and you might want to get Beto on side in terms of shots and goals market. In terms of your bet, I do like it. You like the arguments. I think it's worth mentioning to people as well. Keep an eye on markets if you have an inkling, of ways you're going to predict games, because sometimes, as you've done, getting on earlier does allow you to
100%.
Always keep fixtures in mind and make sure that you're looking ahead just in case you see any clear gaps and anything that you do want to get on. Most notably, it's worth saying that a lot of the bigger teams end up coming in as game weeks approach, and lazy punters end up piling into them. So, and that then moves the market. So if you're backing some of the bigger sides, possibly better to look at doing it a little bit earlier. But there you go, one tip from you. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see an Everton result here. I think it could be a draw. So yeah, I'm all over it. I agree with that tip. I like it. And nothing official from me. Move on to what you called just before we came on air, the biggest derby of the Premier League season.
Obviously, I was being serious.
Tongue in cheek, but still, Palace and Brighton fans would absolutely agree with you. Now, will Palace have all of their eggs in the FA Cup basket or not?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, obviously they will, but they're not just going to give up on the league, right? And this is a big game, right? It's a big derby, even though, derby inverted commas, but the fans know the importance, the players know the importance of it.
Yeah.
And look, yeah, Palace did not play at all at Southampton. You obviously went to the game, seen it live, but they've been playing so well. I feel like that's just kind of a bit of a blip.
Yep.
I expect them to come out strong this game. And I think on paper at the moment and form-wise, I think they are the better team. Brighton got a few more injuries again. So I'm back in Palace, 0 on Ange, handicap at 1.8. So basically that means if there's a draw, you get your money back. So look, even if it is a tight game, you get your money back. I can't see Brighton winning this. So I think this is a good bet to back Palace 0.
Cool. So Palace 0 on the Asian handicap, which is effectively the same market as drawn or bet.
Yep.
I do have to say they have been playing well. I obviously talked up Oliver Glasner last week as an incredible manager that doesn't quite get the credit he deserves. For me, he's not in the mix for the biggest jobs that he potentially could be. I also just love watching Eze. I mean, as you mentioned, I went to the game. I just think he is. And people talk about how good he is, but I still think he's underrated. I think he's that good a player, Eze, in terms of his centre of gravity, his touch, his control. I actually think he could play deeper in more of a number 8 midfield role and really dictate the game, where he's got a little bit more space to operate in the centre of the pitch. But then you think of how good his finishing is, and he really is the complete player for me. I think he has to leave Palace this summer. Sorry to all the Eagles fans watching, but he's capable of so much better, and he needs to be playing Champions League football 100%. However, having said all of that, I do think Palace will be more focused on the FA Cup. And ultimately...
but the FA Cup's like 3 weeks away, right? 4 weeks away.
Yeah, but it's in players' minds. You don't play at Wembley very often. And
yeah, but you're playing your main rival, right? Your fans are going to be up for it, so surely you're not just going to not give up.
Palace have also not had great results at home, though, right? They lost to Brentford, they lost to Everton. This Brighton side responded really well after getting beat 7-0 at Forest. I think they can respond here. I just think, for me, this is a 50-50 game. But when you look at the odds of this game, you've got Palace around the 6-4 mark, and you've got Brighton at 2-1. So for me, the Brighton price is worth a stab. So I'm actually going to play the other way here. I'm going to play Brighton to win.
All right. Well, head-to-head, don't agree with that. So
it's nice that we have at least one head-to-head a week, right? Somebody needs to have bragging rights next week. In this case, it'll be me.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be me.
And we move forward. We got Ipswich versus Wolves for the next one. Now, I'm really don't have a bet for this game, but I'm really looking forward to watching it. I think I owe Ipswich a bit of an apology. I've been pretty harsh on them in recent weeks, maybe a little bit dismissive. And we both thought this would be a straightforward Bournemouth win this weekend. Sorry, this week is gone. So massive credit to Ipswich, because if you look at the 3 promoted teams, the other 2 are a bit of a joke. So in terms of giving it everything, fighting to the line, Ipswich are really at least making a go of it. And this is a huge game against Wolves. I'd love Ipswich to win, and that's nothing against Wolves. I just want to see a relegation fight go to the wire, because if Wolves get any sort of result here, it's completely done, right? My suspicion, unfortunately, is that Wolves will get a result. I think the market's priced it about right, so I don't have a bet, but I can see Wolves going there with a don't lose mindset, because a point is not a terrible result for them. They might even win it if Ipswich find out that they have to go for it later on or whatever. So it could be any result for me. I'd love Ipswich to win, but I won't be touching it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't really have a bet on it, to be honest. Like you said, it would be good for Ipswich to win to add a bit of excitement, but like, probably going to be a draw. Like Wolves will be happy with a draw. They just can't lose that game, basically.
Exactly. So move on to West Ham versus Bournemouth. What's happened to Bournemouth the last two games?
Not sure. Like I backed Bournemouth against City. First half they looked really good. Second half they were just all over the shop.
Yeah.
That Clivert wasn't playing the last game, but they had loads of other players back, like Kirkes and stuff like that. So I don't know. This is a good opportunity for them to bounce back though against West Ham. But I still think Bournemouth are like they've had a really good season. They should be higher in the table. They should be actually third on expected goals, but actually like 10th, which is mental.
Yep.
So yeah, and look, West Ham aren't great. Like Potter's got a big job in his hands. It's going to take a while to get the team going. He needs a proper pre-season. Like, don't expect many things. Saying that, they were probably unfortunate to not get something out of the Wolves game.
They won the XG battle.
Yeah, they won the XG bout. They had some good opportunities. I think Ferguson had like a tap in as well, which he
it was unmissable, and that was at 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. Emerson had a really good chance as well. I don't really have a bet on this, but I think Bournemouth should edge this game.
Yeah, I mean, from an Irish football perspective, seeing Evan Ferguson miss that chance, it's just like head in hands. I'm just wondering if Robbie Keane is somebody we can bring back out of retirement for the national front. But in terms of this game, I do have a bet for it. My theory on why it's gone wrong for Bournemouth over the last two games is fatigue. If you look at their first 11, it's a very consistent 11. They don't have the biggest squad that they seem comfortable with utilising. They're very reliant on the first 11. It's been a long season. They play very intense football with a very high pressing game. And when you look at what you've just said, right, against City, first half, they were really, really good.
Yeah.
In the second half, did they run out of steam? That's a question that I think we have to consider at this point. When it comes to West Ham, I think you're right. Potter absolutely needs a pre-season. But I think he's still a good enough manager in the interim to at least achieve inconsistency. I think they'll be good one week, bad the next. And I think they're due to be good again. So I actually think West Ham, considering they're at home, have the crowd behind them here. London Stadium, quite a big pitch. Again, will test Bournemouth's stamina. I think that if West Ham can stay in the game for the first 20, 25, there's every chance that they could go on and nick this. And for West Ham to be 3.1 at home, I think is a pretty fair price. So I'm actually going to tip up West Ham officially here at 3.1 on the exchanges.
Okay.
Great win. Aston Villa versus Forest. You've still been constantly predicting this Forest downturn. It's not really materialised. What a result for them in midweek, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I keep banging on about it, but I did back them, and that was obviously quite a good result. They lost the XG battle, but I feel like the way they play is quite unique in terms of like they get an early goal and you just sit back and happy to absorb the pressure. I think this might be a bit of a tough game. I don't really have anything this game, to be honest. Wood's probably going to be out, I guess, still. That's a bit of a blow. Yeah, I don't really have much on this, to be honest. I'd say probably be a decent game to watch this. It's on TV, so.
Yeah, I mean, I have a bet. Surprise, surprise. So, obviously Forest did get a great result. And they were fantastic against United. They seem to thrive on receiving pressure. It's the two boys at the back, Milenkovic and Murillo, just seem to absolutely love defending. They just love their trade, and they're so good at what they do. But there's one, you've mentioned Chris Wood probably going to be out, which is a big blow, but I think there's a bigger blow, and that's that Ola Aina definitely out of this game.
Yeah.
I think that's massive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at comparing Forest's, can't believe I'm going to use this analogy, but let's go with it. When you look at comparing Forest defence to a really solid table, right? As soon as you pull one of the legs of that table out, does the whole lot then capitulate? Not that Forest will suddenly become a bad defensive unit.
Yeah.
It's not the same defensive unit.
Yeah.
And when you're up against an Aston Villa side who are so much better at home than they are away, who are absolutely thriving in the attacking role, scoring goals for fun, I still think Marco Asensio was the January, by far and away the best January buy, or loan deal, whatever. But ultimately, I think that Villa odds against here, 2.12 for the win. I think Villa will beat Forest. I still think Forest will make Champions League, and I think they've had the most incredible season. But I think that Villa Park will be a bridge too far for them. So I'm going to go with Villa win.
All right.
As an official tip. Your lot, Brentford versus Chelsea.
You want me to go first?
I don't mind. What I'll do, I'll tell you what I'll do actually. I'm going to throw some stats at you since the last time Chelsea played Brentford earlier this season when Chelsea beat them 2-1. In that time, their win-draw-loss record stands at 5 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses.
Chelsea's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of the 5 wins, how many of them have come away from home?
Chelsea's. 2, 1, 0.
A big fat bagel, right? They have not won away from home since that game back in December, I think it was. So, again, they've fallen off a cliff. When you look at the 5 home wins even, the teams that they were playing were Leicester, Southampton, Wolves, West Ham, and admittedly Tottenham last night, but you can probably put Tottenham in that category at the moment, right? Like, effectively, they've had a very kind fixture list of late at home, which is the only thing that's given them any sort of real points on the board. They really have fallen off a cliff still for me. They're not the same side that they were early in the season. I'm not convinced Enzo Maresca is the best man for this job. The more he's implemented his strategy, the more wrong it seemed to go. It's not a good sign. It's meant to go the other way as the season progresses. Brentford, obviously at home, are a really solid outfit, great unit, and I think Brentford will beat Chelsea. I think I'm really, really confident on this one. I know that you're about to tip up the same thing. Sorry for the spoiler.
Getting there before me.
But for me, Brentford at 3.3 for the win at home. It's just a nap. You've got Palmer, who's finally assisted last night, but overall just not in the same form. And I just don't have the confidence in Chelsea in terms of where the goals are going to come from. Brentford at the G-Tech, I think that Chelsea won't be able to live with them. So I'm backing Brentford at 3.3 for the straight win with quite a large degree of confidence here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Brentford, we haven't been amazing last few games at home, but, we've still been putting decent shift in, I think. The game against Newcastle, we played really well, deserved to get something out of that game. Damsgaard wasn't starting as well. Franks came out, said he's going to start, which is a massive boost for Brentford. Look, Chelsea haven't been doing great last 10 or whatever games. They've had quite a few injuries, some injuries, some just like inconsistencies. They've got players back, like Jackson's back fit now. Palmer's obviously played last game against Tottenham, but they weren't overly great against Tottenham. They won 1-0, but it wasn't like a super convincing win, right? No. So look, I'm gonna side with Brentford here. I'm gonna go plus a quarter. So basically, what that means is if Brentford draw, it's a half win. So it's a bit of insurance if there's a draw. But yeah, I feel like this. I'm obviously going to the game. I think it's one of those games where I think Brentford could win this and maybe go on a good run.
What's the price of it?
Evens.
Okay, so breaking that down, that means if you put £10 on Brentford and they win the game, then you get £20 back. If they draw the game, you get £15 back. And if they lose the game, then you obviously get £0 back. So, but that won't happen, right? We're both pretty confident. So, let's think positive about that. Both of us backing Brentford officially. So, come on the bees. Cheer them on for us. Fulham versus Liverpool. I've kind of got a similar theory on Fulham as Bournemouth. Fulham were pretty abject against Arsenal. Really let my tip down. I thought they'd go there and produce after going out the cup. They've actually been a bit non-existent in the last 2 games in the season. It might just be in a bit of danger of petering out for them. Liverpool with a bit between their teeth going for the league. I don't have an official bet, but I do think Liverpool win this game.
Yeah, I'm happy to pass this.
Cool. All right. Tottenham versus Southampton. I mean, I don't even know where to start with Tottenham, and in particular with Ange Postecoglou. The latest set of antics last night. I mean, what's the man thinking? What's going on in his head?
I just don't really understand him. I was thinking about this earlier today, and like, he's really cocky, and like, I don't like how he like interacts with reporters and stuff like that. The questions, sometimes he asks a genuine question. He's like, "What do you mean by that, mate? All this bollocks." I was going to put an accent on, but you can only do that if you're someone like Mourinho when you've actually achieved something and won something. He's done nothing. Like, well, he's won the Scottish League and whatever somewhere else, A League or whatever, right? He's done nothing, right? The fans hate him. The Spurs, I don't know what's going on. The Spurs, they're just like, you don't know what kind of team's going to turn up. They're winning one week, next week they get smashed. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets sacked end of the season.
No, I think he'd definitely leave at the end of the season. I think that's probably already been decided. I don't think there's any point bringing somebody in at this stage. But all I would say on it is, look, you know, every manager goes through bad patches where they're not getting a result. They can't buy a result. And you can go about fixing it in so many different ways. But the one thing you just never, ever, ever do is pick a fight with your own club's
I don't know why he's denying that completely. What he did, because there's so much footage there. Like, what?
It's rubbish, right? First of all, look at the history, look at the background. He's been involved in scraps. There's so much social media antics of Postecoglou
just
arguing with fans and all of this sort of stuff, right? So
we know he's plot.
We know he's got it in his locker. That's the first thing, right? The second thing, he makes his substitution and they sing you don't know what you're doing. Pap Sarr thinks he scored.
Yeah. It just even makes it even better that I got disallowed.
I mean, it's just comical, right? But to turn to the Spurs fans and cup your hands behind your ears, right? And then he says to the reporters, "Oh, it's been misconstrued, and I was actually just trying to get them to cheer. I wanted to hear them cheer." Absolute lies, right? Because you think of players like that, players and managers that you've seen geeing up their own fans, right? You've seen Gabriel do it a lot this season. You've seen Lewis Skelly do it. You've seen lots of players and do it. None of them cup their ears. They all use their hand and effectively lift their arms up, kind of to G up the fans. That's what it actually looks like when you're trying to G up your own fans. To cup your hands behind your ears is so antagonistic. And especially because he knows that they've just sung "You don't know what you're doing," and now he thinks Sarr scored, so he's obviously responding. That's absolutely what he's doing, and
complete bollocks.
It just looks so unprofessional, and to me it reeks of insecurity. It's kind of like he needs to try and validate himself in this way. Ultimately, he's in danger, I think, of putting off next potential suitors, and needs to bow out with as much professionalism and dignity as he can at this stage. And it wasn't a good way to act. Look, sometimes you're going to get abuse from fans. You're going to get stick, no matter who you are. It's rarely personal. And fans pay a lot of money, a stupid amount of money. That's not Ange Postecoglou's fault, but you can't blame them for wanting to have an opinion. They're going to have one. Sometimes you've just got to turn the other cheek. It's one of the downsides of management. And being in the position that he's in. And ultimately, I just think that he needs to really quit while he's ahead in terms of those antics, because it's just not helping anyone. In terms of this game, I went to watch Southampton, as we mentioned. I was actually really impressed with them. Some of the football that they played, they deserved to beat Palace for me. Were much the better side throughout the whole game. They sprayed about really, really well. They're still fighting. At least they were this game. I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence in them to hit the back of the net, unfortunately. I think I was very tempted by the 7.8 figure on the exchange, or even backing them at double chance. But I just can't. I can't back them because I don't have enough confidence in them to actually put the ball in the net, even though they do play attractive football. So it's a no bet for me. I'd like to see Southampton get a result. I'd like to see Ange Postecoglou not getting the headlines, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tottenham got nothing to play for in the league, right? They're just pivoting to Europe, so it'll be interesting what lineup he puts out.
Yeah, I mean that
It might be
Europa
an
League.
angle to go on a handicap quickly before the price goes if he's rested. I don't know, Son, a few others, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
And
so
some
stand by for early
defenders.
team news. You can often get early team news on Twitter, right? So it's definitely one to keep an eye out.
Yeah,
Because if he's got any brains, he will rest players. But this is another problem, I
well,
think.
he doesn't. He doesn't seem like he does have any friends.
And I mean, this is another question: are the players still playing for him? I won't go into too much detail on that, but my
Yeah, who
suspicion is he's
knows?
lost at least a couple of them, if not most of the dressing room. Manchester United versus Manchester City. Now, I want to talk about this one a little bit as well, because United at Forest, right, weren't that bad. Lost the game, and not saying that we deserve to win it, but there's ways to lose games, and I didn't think United were that awful. If you look at United over the course of the season, it's been horrendous. Nobody's questioning that for a second. But if you look over the course of the last 5 games, because this is a process, everybody knew this, Amarin knew this, the last 5 games or so haven't been that terrible. And if you look through a side, you've got the defence. It's actually, we've got players adapting. A good example of that is De Ligt, who is I think, much improved. Dorgu's not slotted in too badly. Midfield, you've got obviously Bruno, who's out of this world. You've got Ugarte, who's starting to look a little bit more comfortable. The big problems remain in the attacking areas for me. And that's why, obviously, we won the expected goals battle, for example, against Forest, but can't hit the back of the net. And we've got 2 players in Højlund and Zirkzee who are obviously, in this moment, not good enough to be wearing a United shirt. But beggars can't be choosers, and we don't have too many viable alternatives. So the question from me to you is, which one should United be going with? Or should there be a way to try and squeeze both in? What would you do if you were Amarin with these two?
In this game,
No, I kind of mean in general. I mean in general in terms of, the outlook moving forward for the remainder of the season at least.
look, they've spent a lot of money on Højlund, right? Like, they obviously knew what they were doing. They've done well. I hope they've know what kind of play he was, done the scouting when he was at Atlanta and stuff like that. I feel like you need to pick someone and play him so he gets confidence. Like, regardless if he's not scoring or anything like that, because you need to set up for next season. What are you going to do? Just bring someone else in and try and bed that player? I feel like if I was the gaffer, I'd be like, look, whichever one of those guys, you're my number one, and you're going to play every game now. Don't care, you're playing every game in this system, and then we'll see how it goes till the end of the season. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. And who should it be?
Probably Højlund.
I agree. I mean, ultimately, when it comes to Højlund, right? I
He's
think he
been
gives,
he's had spells of like looked good, and
and right
then
now
and then he gets like he has a good game and he gets dropped. I don't get it. It's like
and that's
almost Almiron just doesn't know like what the best lineup is, and he's like treating the whole season as pre-season.
correct. And he's done a lot of tinkering. And ultimately, part of that might even be playing into a reason why Højlund is a little bit devoid of confidence at the moment, owing to his poor record. But when neither of them are flying in terms of their own goal scoring, I think it's really important to think about which one benefits and supports the team more. And while some of Xerxes' link up is okay, the problem is the vast majority of it's 50, 60 yards from the opposition's goal, right? What is Xerxes' best position? I don't know, but I know it's not a number 9. He is not a.
So why did United buy him
This is
for
a
what?
great question. This is a great question. He's obviously a Ten Hag buy. He's a Ten Hag player, but it's a great question. He does not fit this system, and I'm not really sure how many systems he can fit. He's not a bad player, but ultimately, I don't see where he plays. He's not a number 9 for me. He's not crafty enough to be a number 10. He's not tenacious enough to be a midfielder. He's not quite quick enough to be a wide player.
And he wasn't cheap. What, 30 mil?
Yeah,
32 mil? Right.
30 million pretty cheap in this market, but ultimately,
Yeah, but for that, for his output, that's
it's
pretty
poor,
expensive.
right? It's poor. Whereas with Højlund, as you say, there is a finisher in there. He's suffered from not having a proven goal scorer at United he can learn from. it would be great if we had a more experienced striker who was working with him day in, day out. He's suffered from that. But what he is willing to do is play on the last line. He's willing to run in behind. He's willing to create space for others and allow them to thrive. Like the likes of, I think, Garnacho, who gets off so many more shots than he does, by the way, when they play together, enjoys playing alongside somebody like that. It takes defenders away from them. So for me, it would be Højlund. I think I would give him the run. I would give him the time. And particularly, I mean, I like Amrin. I'm behind him. But one massive thing was don't leave him on the bench and put Kobbie Mainoo in the number 9 role. That is bordering on unforgivable because as a striker and your confidence, you just must be sat in a dilemma on that bench going, what is happening? Like, why is Mainoo playing in the number 9 role ahead of me? He's never played there before in his life. It was crazy. And there has been a little bit too much tinkering for me. And I agree with you 100%. I'd like to see Højlund get the last 8 games, start them all, play them all.
Yeah, and then see, like, and if he's not good enough, he's not good enough, then move on and go to the next solution, right?
Yeah, or at least bring somebody else in the summer that
that's what I mean.
Take the heat off him. Yeah. This game, do you see United getting anything?
No, mate, I don't rate United at all. And I feel like City, even with Haaland out injured, that Mamush is a really good player. I feel like City will win this. I think. So I'm going to tip City actually, but City minus a quarter. So basically, if it's a draw, you get half your money back. So a bit of insurance, and you get that at like around 1.7, 1.8. I feel like United is just. Huh?
Are you officially tipping it?
Yeah, official. Yeah, standard. Yeah. Okay. I just feel like, mate, United's. I just don't rate him at all. Like, I don't. Yeah. And look, City haven't had the best season, but I still think they're a much better team than United.
Is there a suspicion that they could benefit from Haaland being out and Marmoush playing up top and kind of a more team playing?
Yeah, perhaps. Look, Marmoush, totally different player, brings something different to the team. Look, against Leicester, he wasn't there. They come to beat him. Look, it's Leicester, so I wouldn't read much into it, but. Yeah,
he was lucky against
considering what you said, everything about United. They, just mixing it about and stuff like that. They don't know what's going on. The front line's horrendous. I mean, Maguire's got the last game. He was the most effective attacker, right? He racked up like what 0.65 xG or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it says it all, right?
He created more of an xG in that 5-minute cameo or 8-minute cameo or whatever it was than Højlund and Zirkzee have combined in the last 7 or 8 games or something. That's a stat I read on Sky. Oh my!
And again, goes down to confidence, right? If your gaffer doesn't believe in you, you're not going to play well, are you? It's just I don't know what's going on at United.
I think. Again, I don't think the last 4 or 5 games have been as terrible. I think there is small signs, but the signs are very small. And on the face of it, City probably should win. The price of the market looks about right. I wouldn't touch it personally from a betting perspective. So,
and again, United got nothing to play for, right? They got Europe on Thursday. That's the main priority, right? They win Europe, they get Champions League. That needs to be the priority.
That's a really valid point because that's a massive game for us.
Yeah,
absolutely
huge.
Massive. And City have actually got nothing left, right? And they're still in a right scrap for the top 4. So the game is more important to City than it is United.
Yeah, I mean, City are 5th with 51 points, like 1 point behind 4th and 6th behind 3rd. So like, it's kind of must win for them,
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, top 5 probably get Champions League.
Yeah, top 5, but look, they don't want to risk that, right? But equally, Newcastle are 1 point behind them and a game in hand over them. So, like.
And speaking of Newcastle, it's a lovely little segue you've just created there to slide into the last fixture of the weekend because they've got a very, let's be frank, easy
fixture.
I mean, Leicester. I mean. Ruud van Nistelrooy, what we thought Ange Postecoglou's having a nightmare. But not only are the results amongst the worst of all time, but for him as a manager, his win percentage. But now they've got the Harry Winks situation. Don't know if you've heard about this.
Oh, yeah. He didn't want to Because I think he's living probably
He's
still in
refusing
London, right?
to stay one night at the training ground
What's wrong with that?
because he's got a newborn and this and that. Well, it's one night a week. I mean, you could probably see the argument from both sides, right? But
Yeah, but is that because what he lives in London, and he has to commute to Leicester? Like,
100 miles or something drive.
isn't that so much effort? Like, so he does that every day. Like,
I don't know what the situation is, but the bottom line is he's clearly not falling in line with the manager, and he's not. The request itself isn't outrageous for me. It was, it's one night a week. He's not paid small amounts of money, is
like
he?
going back to the office
I mean,
4 days a week, 3 days a week.
but yeah, so now Rude can't get a result. He's clearly got internal problems. There's clearly players going, this isn't working, we don't believe in this, and we're not really fully committed to the plan, to the process. So I just think it's a disaster. I think they're obviously going down. Leicester fans wanted Rude as well, so they can dislike him all they like, but they were asking for him instead of Steve Cooper.
They're so far behind, 12 points behind. How many games has he been charged for now? Like 10? 8?
I think it's more of an 8. I don't know exactly, but it's
you'd thought you'd close down the gap. They weren't even in that much bad shape when they got rid of Cooper.
Yeah. So it's just gone to pot. I think there is a betting angle here. I think this is so demoralised. And I think that Newcastle on the Asian handicap here is a play. I think Newcastle at minus.
Isak could be out, remember?
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. But even so, I think Newcastle have enough. If you play Newcastle at minus 1.25, the price of that is 2.06, so it's above even money. So that effectively means that if Newcastle win by 1, you still get half of your money back, right? I think Newcastle winning is not even in question for me. So if that's going to be the case,
I would love it if Leicester just win.
Well, just because I've tipped it up. What about all the people listening that back it now? You love it for them to lose too? What are you doing?
Everyone knows no one listens to you, but yeah, okay. We'll do a poll when we get more listeners. Which tips do you follow?
More points in profit than you this season.
Yeah. Okay. So you say. Until it's in a Google sheet, it doesn't count.
Create this Google sheet. Where is it?
I will. I'll have some time this week and do it.
But well, look, we're both well in profit, so let's remember that. Let's summarise. So for me, I've gone with Brighton to win away at Palace, 3.05. I've got West Ham to win at home to Bournemouth, 3.1. I've got Brentford as my nap to win at home to Chelsea, 3.3.
Okay,
that's my nap.
Nice.
I've got Villa to win at home against Forest at 2.12. And finally, I've got Newcastle on the Asian handicap at minus 1.25, which is 2.06 on the exchanges. If you want to stick all 5 of them in a bet, not that we advise it, because generally the much better way, more profitable way to bet is through singles. It comes out to 103 to 1. My advice is if you are going to do that, maybe do them as trebles and fourfolds rather than the full acca. Because, yeah, again, it's difficult to get all 5. What have you got?
I got Everton plus 3/4, but I'm tipping it as plus 1/2 because at the time of recording it's plus 1/2, 1.93. Price has just actually moved now as I've been saying it.
Oh wow! Everybody's listening to us. And
it's drifted. It's gone the other way.
Oh right. People are listening to us and betting against us.
I'm pretty sure it was 1.90, and it's got up to 1.93. So yeah, someone's just piled on. So I got that plus 1/2 against Arsenal. I have Palace 0 agent handicap, so money back if it's a draw. I have Brentford plus 1/4, so half win if it's a draw, and then I got City minus 1/4, which is half loss if it's a draw.
Perfect. Based on the new information that's come to light, I think we now know who the punters are listening to more.
Well, thank God this pod's not live.
All right. Well, listen, that's us for this game week. Happy punting. Remember to play it safe and look forward to seeing you on the next pod with all our winners.